Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the M12 Fuel Hatchet 6-inch pruning saw from Milwaukee. This is the tool only, so no battery, no charger, and it is part number 2527-20. And it is a 6-inch chainsaw that runs off the M12 system, and the intention of this tool is for pruning. Now, this tool, as nice as it is not innovative. This is the third tool of its type that I know of. One of them being the Lopper from Craftsman and the similar product by Black & Decker. Same thing under Stanley Corporation. And it's basically a pair of scissors where one side is a chainsaw. And the other tool that is very similar to this is the Stihl GTA 26. Now, it was a 10.8 volt tool, the Stihl was. And it had a guard on top of the chain to stop you from getting your hand into the thing. But it was, by most reviews, underpowered. And it was only a 4-inch, not a 6-inch chain, which limited you being able to get into some tight spots, close to tree trunks and whatnot on your pruning. So it sort of seems to have disappeared. In fact, the only place I could find one for sale was on eBay. And it was $249. And it looked like it was the tool, the battery, a single battery that is, and the charger. If any of that's incorrect and they're still making that thing, somebody please comment and let us know about it. But best I can tell, it looks like that's a product that's sort of disappeared from Stihl's lineup. So back to the Milwaukee here. This is the Milwaukee tool. Now, don't let it being an M12 fool you. This thing is substantial. It's got a good weight to it. It's got very nice overmolded handles, very good spots for you to ergonomically hold on to the thing and not get yourself into trouble. It's got a good thick guard here. About the only thing I don't like about it is in its compact design, the chip ejection port seems like the chain is awfully close to somewhere where I could see some old boy putting his hand to try to do a pruning job and maybe ending up only being able to count to 9 instead of counting to 10. Now, again, I've described this as very substantial feeling. 2,600 RPMs, which equates to 5 meters per second of chain speed. And it's nearly a 5-pound tool, 4.8 pounds for this thing. And it is a 6-inch chain, or 6-inch bar, rather. And let's put a battery in it and see what we think about it and do some cutting. Now, I will tell you, I thought this little toy was not going to be like a regular chainsaw in the bar and chain oil department. I was wrong. This is your reservoir for bar and chain oil. And it calls for this to be filled and for you to hold the trigger down for 30 seconds prior to putting a battery in to use the tool. Now, I didn't have any bar and chain oil, so what I used was a mix of half vegetable oil and half motor oil. That's worked fine over the years. If you've got a better mix for substitute bar and chain oil, let us know in the comments. And if you feel like using anything other than bar and chain oil is a mortal sin, I'm sure you're probably already typing your comment now. So let's take the guard off. It's got a safety for the trigger. And like I say, don't put your hand here. That's a bad idea. But this is the first fire up. Let's hear what it sounds like. So as far as me talking over the tool, I have no idea what I sound like right now. But I am speaking over the tool. It's loud enough I will say it is loud enough I'd like some hearing protection so that when the time comes, I'll be able to hear my grandkids talk. It does claim to be a variable speed trigger. And it is a variable speed trigger and pretty reasonably functioning trigger. I can tell you by looking at the chain, it is getting a good bit of oil on it. And it's good looking, nice cut room there. So this is a pruning saw. And let me just tell you, it is set up for you to do some work. You can really get on the thing like this right here and push on it. And you're nicely protected all the way around. It comes with your chainsaw tool for adjusting the blade. Obviously, you want to do that with the battery out. Now, this tool, for a lot of folks, you're looking at this tool and saying, do I need this? Most people, the answer is no. The reason I bought this tool is for the same reason I bought this tool, and that's to prune stuff too big for me to get with my little hand pruners or for my hedge clippers to get. So this was bought for the same reason. Now, obviously, this is a chainsaw. This is a much safer tool. That's something to consider. You know, there's only one cutting edge. Chainsaw's got two cutting edges, so you can get yourself into trouble a lot easier with a chainsaw. The other side of it is that the blade you'll want to use on a hackzall or a sawzall to do any pruning is going to actually be a pruning blade. Now, those blades have very long teeth that are very sharp, and they're set very wide to clear the kerf. And what I mean by set is they're bent. That's what you call set on a sawtooth, is how much bend there is in the thing. So I was obviously cutting metal. This is a metal blade. Yeah, if you get the right blades, this thing works. And there's a Work Pro blade that I really like. And it's got a really nice tooth design because the teeth are staggered. It's got a really nice set on the teeth so the thing can get through the work. And it's the blade I recommend. So if you're going to stick with just a hacksaw for pruning, check out the link in the description for that blade and try that out and see if it doesn't do what you want it to do as far as pruning. Now, the reason to use that blade, the pruning blade, is because when you're cutting green wood or wet wood, if you don't use that proper pruning blade, what will happen is you'll get into the material and it will swell against your saw blade. And what will happen is your saw is moving or the whole tree is moving, but the actual blade isn't doing very much work in the material, actually cutting the material. Now, even with those pruning blades, you still run into that situation where you're working, but it's just a whole lot of vibration and not a whole lot of wood cutting going on. That said, I still recommend the Work Pro blade to use with this to get the job done as far as actually pruning. Now, I have, as I say, decided this is ultimately, even with the good blades, the wrong tool for the job. For me, for my jungle, definitely the wrong tool for the job, or at least the wrong tool for some jobs. There are situations where a small chainsaw would really come in handy. And again, this is a 5-pound chainsaw with a battery, so, get prepared to work your meat hooks. Another thing, there is invariably someone who is watching this video and is thinking of maybe putting a zip tie right here and maybe getting some duct tape or whatever and putting this thing on a pole and having a 2-for-1 with a pole saw. Well, like I say, this thing's 5 pounds. If you put it out on the end of the pole, be sure you video it and post it so we can all laugh at you dying, because that's a bad idea. Enough talking about it. Let's go outside and make some cuts. So I don't actually have very many branches that I need pruned right now. So just to kind of get this thing wet, we're going to go ahead and cut this 2x12. This is just a scrap piece of 2x12 that used to be a ramp. And we're going to go ahead and take some slices, see how it works out. And I've got my PPE on. So let's see how it goes. Man, looks like somebody cut that with a chainsaw. Does the job like it's supposed to. One thing I don't like, I'm probably yelling. So cuts well, does the job like it's supposed to. One thing I don't like is it doesn't have an automatic stop clutch. So it keeps spinning for a minute once you let go. And being you're going to potentially be using this thing in some, awkward situations, that much time is enough time for if you drop it on yourself for you to wish it had stopped. But let's make a couple more cuts and then let's go prune something. All right, and this is all pressure treated, so I'm really pushing it with that. Okay, let's do some cutting with this thing. I'm gonna basically work my way in with some smaller branches. And we'll cut a small branch. Kind of a gnarly cut. But it will get it done. And then, just for curiosity, if anybody's trying to not buy a chainsaw, this is that Work Pro blade that I was telling you about. The variable teeth is important, and that very aggressive tooth set's important. Really helps it to not hang up in the wood. And I'll just show you how it cuts real quick on a branch. Let's say this branch out here. And you see that, all that vibration? That's kind of what you run into. You do get a nicer cut, but there's all this just bouncing all over the place that goes on when you cut with a Sawzall. So again, brand new blade, and a blade I actually recommend. And you just see all that irky-jerky annoyance. And it's just, it doesn't matter if you hold it up against the guide or not. It's just a lot of grief. So it does do the job. It does the job better than anything else out there. So if you do want to keep doing this and vibrating your hand off, definitely check out those Work Pro blades in the description. But this really is already a whole lot nicer. Just for a quick side-by-side again. And I'm just now through that, so a lot of grief compared to yeah. I'm a happy camper. Now $200 is definitely rich, but that sure is nice. Now thus far I've been cutting smaller stuff that really I could get with a lesser quality saw, maybe even a pruning saw, you know, the hedge trimmers. Let's go for something big. Let's get this bad boy right here. Oh, oh, oh. Look at that cut quality. Let's get our Sawzall in here on this bigger piece. And you see, even with this nice blade, it's starting to bite on the kerf. And of course, even the Sawzall does better on the bigger stuff, but this thing's the bee's knees. So yeah, guys, the Milwaukee Hatchet, I highly recommend it. Good stuff all the way around. I'm gonna go clean it up, put it up, go get some sweet tea. Be sure to check out the links in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks, guys.